Hey guys, welcome to my first video from Colombia. I am in this beautiful place called Guatape and we are staying in this permaculture farm. You can probably see the goats over there. There's horses and donkeys. There's a vegetable garden, there's a greenhouse, there's medicinal plants and the hostel building. It is fantastic here. But that's not what this video is about. See, I just came back from a hike across that mountain that is covered in the clouds and it was beautiful. And on the way back I had a great conversation with a new friend of mine from Malaysia who lived in Canada from the age of 10. And we were talking about, the work I do with data healing, with top tennis players, and how we reprogram the subconscious mind when a person, let's say they're struggling, some kind of issues in their personal life, and how we turn that around and achieve great results. And I was explaining, about the work I did with one of the tennis players, and he was really interested and he loved and enjoyed what I was saying, but he couldn't relate to it because he doesn't know the person and because he's not a pro tennis player. So then he asked, can I ask you about a personal thing? And I said, sure, go ahead. So then he started telling me how a few months ago he had the most stressful 2 months in his life. And that was following a vasectomy, where they operate the testes so that he can't have children anymore. He was in pain, there was a lump, psychologically he was worried about, he couldn't go for walks, he was worried if he would be able to ride his motorbike and a bunch of things like that. And he said, what would you have said to me, or what would you have done with me had I come and see you then? And I said, well, first of all, I would have scanned you energetically, like we do in theta healing. But what I would also look at is, ask you what was going on in your life around that time and how did you feel about the operation? For example, did you miss your appointment or were you late for your appointment? And he turned around and he's like, that's exactly what happened. And I said, and I bet you're never late or miss appointment. He says, indeed, ever, like never. And so that was the funny thing. He had a doctor appointment on a Wednesday to, make sure everything's okay and then operate on the Friday. And he missed that appointment. So then he got back home and his family was like, well, call them, maybe they can fit you in on Thursday and you can still get the surgery on Friday. And so he did that, and sure enough, he could go on Thursday. And he had a chat with the doctor and he was wondering, so what could go wrong, what could happen? And the doctor said, well, 99% of people have no issues whatsoever. It's a really small procedure. You'll be in and out, no problems. And he asked, yeah, but what's the worst that could go wrong? And the doctor said, well, to be honest, it is so unlikely that if something happens, we'll talk about it then. And he wasn't really happy with that answer, but he went with it anyway, had the surgery the Friday, and then had problems for 2 months straight. So I asked him, how did you feel? Were you hesitant? Were you afraid? And he said, yeah, that's why I asked these questions. And my wife pointed out to me that whenever they were talking about the surgery, he would hold his hands down here as if he was trying to protect something. And so, long story short, what I said to him was, your higher self was giving you signs through your gut feeling, your intuition, that you were then ignoring. You were reasoning yourself out of canceling the appointment, canceling the vasectomy. And so, if anything, what you learn from this is to not doubt your higher selves or your gut feeling in the future, because something else might happen as a negative consequence as well. This, I related to him, is one of the main things that we do with data healing, is to identify what is the positive or what is the benefit of any negative experience that we can't understand, that we feel victimized. Whatever happened to us, no matter how bad, there's always positive things that came out of it or that we learn from it. And so this was already a big positive thing, to trust that gut feeling. Now, as we were talking, I get information, I get messages, and one of those things that I got was, I said to him, on some level, you still believe you are weak. And he said, yeah, you're probably right. So then I asked, when was the first time you were feeling weak? When did you feel weak the first time in your life? And he thought about it for a minute, and then he said, well, you know, when I was in Malaysia, my dad left us when I was 3. My younger brother was in my mom's belly, and you know, my mom taught me how to be independent. And then when I was 10, we moved to Canada, and then she met my stepdad, who is a great person, but every time I made a mistake, he made me feel bad about it, as if I was stupid or not good enough, even though I aced all my tests and exams. And so what I got from this, and I shared this with him, is that you were actually made to feel weak by a male authoritative figure, his stepdad in this case. And so this is a pattern that has then played out in your life, for example, with the doctor. He gave his power away to the doctor rather than trusting his own gut feeling and taking that power back and saying, you know what, doesn't feel right, I'm not going to do it. And he says, actually, there's another thing I can tell you. When I worked for a big company, I was an engineer for the first couple of years, and then my boss said, actually, I see you more in a leadership role, so I'm gonna put you over here and you can do all these other things. And he said to me, that wasn't what I would have chosen, but he went with it anyway. So again, masculine authoritative figure had the power over him, and he gave his power over to that person. So in conclusion, it is not a coincidence that the vasectomy complications happened, because those things, they're related to masculinity. They were representing something related to his masculinity as well, about taking back control, taking his own power back to him. So as you can see now, there was a great gift in this medical complication, that even though it was extremely stressful for 2 months, if he takes away these lessons now that we just spoke about, that's going to have a beautiful effect and repercussion on his life. No more giving his power away to a masculine figure, taking it back and trusting his gut feeling. Beautiful, right? And it is when we can extract the lessons from these experiences, we're going to be preventing heavier or stronger accidents or problems or pains or things like that from occurring, right? Because an experience will keep presenting itself in different ways if we're not extracting the lessons from it. And that is what we learn in data healing. It is extremely valuable. So he was like, whoa, like this is just huge, like just light bulbs flashing all over the place. It was really amazing. And it just shows me again the power of data healing, working with the subconscious mind, learning how to discern the voice of your ego and your mind, of your higher self, of the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, of your survival self. This is something that is taught in the You and the Creator course, which is one of the main fundamental courses in data healing. So even if you're not having a full-on session with someone, just through conversation alone, you can just get so deep and extract so many lessons from it that are really powerful and life-changing. So if you want to know more about this, if you want to learn how to do this both for yourself and for loved ones or for clients potentially, just stay in touch with us, leave us a comment, like this video, just show some interest, and then we'll notify you of future courses that we'll be running with my partner Nicole. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.